Listen, I want you to take yourself back to November. I want you to take yourself back to November 2022, okay? And specifically what I want you to do is take yourself to the week of the 4th to the 11th of November 2022. For those of you who don't remember, it was a black week for anyone in crypto. It was the week that FTX went down with $10 billion of customer assets, and we thought it was going to be the end of crypto. On that week, as you can see over here, Bitcoin dropped from 21,000 to the lows of about 15,600. And I don't know how you remember that week, but I remember thinking to myself, we are never going to survive $10 billion of customer funds locked up in FTX. I also want you to remember how you felt about Solana that week. I want you to try and think back to what you thought the future of Solana was going to be. And if you remember, just after that week, Solana dropped to about $8.44. Well, the good news is that Bitcoin recovered, right? And not only did Bitcoin recover, but if you look at what happened to Bitcoin, Bitcoin went from the lows of 15,600 and recovered by about 100%, reaching about 31,000, okay? If you look at Solana, in that same period, Solana also recovered and didn't only recover by 100%, but actually recovered by a whole lot more. So let me just escape that. But if you look at Solana, Solana recovered by way more than 100%. Now, there's a reason why I'm telling you this. Because it feels like we're living in another one of those moments. It feels like today, the questions that I'm being asked, the people that I'm speaking to, all feel the same way that they felt after the FTX collapse. And it's true. I mean, we are under attack. And it's a huge attack. We've got Gary Gensler going for the biggest exchanges in crypto. Together, they make up about 80% of the crypto volume in the entire world. It's a big attack. It's also a big attack on our favorite tokens. You take all those tokens that they've now been classified as securities. It's a serious, serious, serious attack. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because it feels like we may be in another one of these FTX collapse moments. The pressure, the vigor of the attacks reminds me, and the mindset reminds me of exactly how we felt when FTX collapsed. And history shows that people who would have bought that dip, people who would have capitalized on everybody else's fear and everybody else's panic, they came out better and they made over 100%. And listen, I've been in crypto since 2016. We've had many, many, many attacks. I remember in the old days, Tether was attacked. I remember the first Bitcoin split. I remember when China first banned Bitcoin and crypto. I remember when China banned mining. I remember when India banned crypto. Every single time we thought to ourselves that crypto was going to die. And the people that bought the dips every single time that happened, well, they're sitting here and they're smiling because they landed up making money. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is because I think that the genie's out of the bottle. Crypto is definitely going to survive. And the reason why crypto is going to survive is simply because of this, right? It's because you can't unscramble an egg. And the egg has already been broken. The genie is already out the bottle. And once the egg has been scrambled and everybody has realized the benefits of crypto and how amazing this technology is, you can't unscramble it. You can't make the egg back into an egg. The genie is out the bottle. This technology will find a way of surviving, especially because all we need to make this technology survive is an internet connection. And the genie is out of the bottle. We know what this technology is about and we know the benefits of this technology, and no attack on crypto is going to take this technology away from us. So there's a reason why I started the show like this today, because I know how you guys are feeling. I know it feels a little bit demotivating. I know that interest in crypto is down at levels that we haven't seen in a long time. I want to see if I can actually find the levels for you. I don't have the levels, but we haven't seen these levels of disinterest in crypto in a very, very, very long time. Oh, here it is. So you can see the levels in crypto. You can see that all the tourists have basically left the market, and actually we're at the lowest levels that we've seen in forever. But this is the time when millionaires are made. The people who have conviction, the people who want to trade this fear, the people who have a little bit of dry powder left over and make long-term investment decisions, those are the people that are actually going to be rewarded. I've been here since 2015, 2014, somewhere around there. I've seen this many, many, many times before. Every time it happens, we feel like it's going to be the end of crypto. And every time, somehow, this industry survives and this industry gets stronger. And that's really what today's show is about. We're going to look at all the attacks that are happening on crypto. We're going to compare them to previous attacks, and then we're going to decide whether this is one of those buying opportunities. So let me know if you're with me in the show. Let's go. Listen, you won't believe how long it took me to find this image of the scrambled egg that I could use on the screen. So I hope you appreciated my intro. Anyway, listen, welcome back. We've got a big show today. We're going to talk about this attack, and it's a huge attack on crypto. So listen, if you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Let's get the formalities over and done with. If you've been here and you've been here for a while and you're with us in this fight and you're going to be here in the long term and you're going to survive this attack and you're going to come out stronger, I want you to smash the like button now. I want you to obliterate the like button now. Let's make sure that everybody joins us in this movement. And the reason why I think it's so important is because I have seen this before. And I remember this feeling when I woke up this morning and I saw my phone and I looked at the messages that I'm getting from people saying, oh, must I sell my Cardano? Is it a security now? Oh, must I sell what must I do with my Solana? Should I dump them all? Well, you know what? I'll remind you that the last time that you thought that you should potentially dump this all was this dump over here. And if you did dump them all, you would have sold them for $8.06. And I remember people selling them for $8.06. And then what happened to Solana? Solana recovered to $27. That's 200% profit. Okay. Every single time we get these attacks, the people that have the conviction to buy these attacks are the people that land up making money. The people that fear and sell, right? Those are the people that land up losing money. So if you're here and you're with us, smash the like button and let's get this show on the road. Let's talk about this attack. It's a big attack. Definitely one of the biggest attacks that we've ever had. And let me tell you, we know what the agenda is. Now that we know what the agenda is, and I'm going to show you later on, I'm going to show you the tools that the SEC are using and the strategy that the SEC are using. We're going to talk about that. But the attack is big. Don't get fooled by this attack. We know the end goal of the attack. Gary Gensler let the end goal of the attack leak. Let's listen to that again. So just to remind ourselves what this attack is all about.
We don't need more digital currency. We already have digital currency. It's called the US dollar. It's called the euro. It's called the yen. They're all digital right now.
He's trying to get us all to use this digital currency that he believes is the dollar or the yen or all these government-controlled digital currencies. And how do you do that? Well, you use a very simple strategy. Let me explain the strategy to you. The first thing is you cut off the banking. You choke the supply of money onto the system. It's a very simple strategy. Then what do? You take the people that are fighting, the two biggest exchanges, and you take them to court. And you drain them of resources and you fight them in court until eventually they cannot fight anymore. And that is one of the tactics that I believe that the SEC is actually using against Coinbase. And we'll look at it and we'll actually analyze the numbers. But rest assured, this fight is not over. This fight is just beginning, in fact. If you thought that this fight was over, you're wrong, okay? I read this tweet from 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. It said, the same man who established the Securities and Exchange Commission also ordered the confiscation of gold. And he says here, so yes, the attack on Bitcoin is coming. And that's in response to another tweet that said, it is important to stay humble during all of this regulatory drama. They're going to come after Bitcoin at some point too. And that's true. We know that they're coming after Bitcoin. We know that they started with the two biggest exchanges. In fact, no, what they did was they started with the banks. Then they worked their way to the two biggest exchanges. They, in between, tried to choke off one of our stablecoins, and potentially they could continue to go for our stablecoins. The fight is just beginning. Or shall I say specifically, the fight in the West, and specifically in the United States, is just beginning. But that's not the case in Europe. In Europe, we have more regulatory clarity. In Asia, we have more regulatory clarity. And in fact, don't know how many of you saw that we dropped a video last night. And if you haven't watched this video, we dropped it last night and we just thought it was so apt to drop this video because this video is with three big investors in Asia, people who live in Hong Kong and people who invest in companies in Asia. And they told us the difference between the West and the East. And it looks like the East is coming in with open arms to welcome crypto people. But the West, and specifically only the US, is starting to fight this big battle with us. And one of the things that I asked him, I said, how do you feel when you go to a conference in Korea or Japan versus how you feel when you go to a conference in, say, Miami? And listen to what the guy said yesterday. I mean, every market in Asia, specifically if you're coming from the West, is a very difficult market to crack. I want to ask you another question. The question is very much about sentiment. So the reason why I asked you guys is because I know you guys are serial conference goers. In fact, Yat, I think you haven't been home. This is the first time you've been home in how many months? Like 3 months, 4 months?
Over 3 months. Over 3 months, yes.
And that's the last time I think I saw you was in Austin. Ciara, I think the last time I also saw you was at a conference somewhere in the world. So you guys go to conferences a lot. I mean, I think it's fair to say you're serial conference goers, okay? I'm the same. Tell me about the mood in conferences in the East versus the mood in conferences in the West. And specifically, I'm referencing Korea Blockchain Week. There was a big event that was held in Hong Kong, and I don't know if it's real or not, but I heard that 50,000 people flew into Hong Kong for the event and the side events. I don't know how many people actually attended the actual event, but it feels to me like the sentiment in Asia is very good. Tell me about the sentiment there versus the sentiment when you go to an event in the US.
Well, I would say in the US, it definitely feels a bit more muted. And there's also a little bit of lamentation in terms of, commiserating, what's going on. Lots of complaints about, certain actors in the US and politics, in terms of what's not working and so on. But I want to just interrupt you.
I want to just interrupt you before we talk about Asia. I want to interrupt you. I was in the US now. I went to Austin. I went to Consensus, which was one of the biggest events. And then I went to Bitcoin 2023, which was in Miami, which is also it's a big retail event. You know what I felt like there? I felt like we're in a boxing ring and they'd been through 10 rounds already. And they were standing, but they were really wobbling all over the place. That's how I felt when I was in the US now. And that's in the West. But in the East, it's different. In the East, the sentiment is completely different. They're welcoming crypto with open arms, and it's starting to become a fight between the two continents. But in the West, and specifically in the United States, the war continues, the fight continues. And the problem is that we're not just fighting a fight against the SEC. Don't forget, we've still got a whole lot of other things that are coming up on the horizon that we have to continue to look out for. We've got the Mt. Gox coins, which are still going to come onto the market. We've got the US government going to sell the Bitcoin. So we're fighting a battle on all fronts. But I've been here before. I've felt this before, and I'm telling you that millionaires are made now. People who have dry powder now and are willing to take a chance and to put some money down in these kind of situations, historically, traditionally, have actually been well rewarded. But you need to know, if you're doing that, there is a fight. And the fight continues, and the fight's going to get more and more dirty. And I'm going to show you some more dirty tricks in the fight. But let's recap what happened on yesterday's fight. So in yesterday's bout, or yesterday's rounds, this is what happened. First of all, there is still a fear that there's going to be criminal charges against CZ and against Binance. And it feels to me like the market is starting to price that in and to say, we actually wouldn't be surprised if the Department of Justice actually comes out against CZ. And I'll show you in a second why I think that's happening. You can see that in the price of BNB. So this is the price of BNB when the market started to worry that there's going to be criminal charges against CZ or Binance. Now, in the interim, there has been a summons for CZ to appear in court. But very important to note that this is a civil summons. It's not a criminal summons. And in these cases, you can actually send your lawyer. And that's exactly what CZ said. He said, look, I have been ordered to appear in court. The summons is real. He didn't tweet for, but he also says that this is procedural and that you can actually send your lawyer. And apparently, he probably will actually send his lawyer, and he won't actually go there and go there himself. In the interim, more and more stuff is surfacing about the allegations that they have against Binance and against CZ. And these allegations are pretty damning. They've got Catherine Coley, who was the ex-CEO. They've got testimony from her. And I'll show you what the testimony looks like. It's a lot of pages of them and her in front of camera and questions and answers with ex-employees. They also have, I guess you call these, what do you call them, transcripts? What do you call these things? Where they have messages from people inside Binance. And these are pretty damning. I mean, let's listen to some of these. This is a conversation between Samuel Lim, and he says, BNB suka any day can go to zero. And then the chief compliance officer says, we're operating as a fucking unlicensed securities exchange in the United States, bro. The next thing, he tells Elvin to take his BNB bonus and dump it into USDT as he would be dumb to hold it. He says, can easily go to cents. Haha, smart people, my ass. Worse than 𝗲𝗶𝘁𝗶𝘁. And they were laughing. But look, bear in mind that this happened at a time and he actually did sell it. He sold to USDT in 2018. Now, look, was he right to sell? Let's go back to 2018 and just look at the price that he landed up selling at. So let's go back to 2018, and you can see just 2018 more or less. He probably sold it at about $3 or $4, right? Probably I think it was $3 or $4, and the price of BNB went up to $700. So pretty much a bad decision to actually sell it. Also, talk about compliance. It says you're not alone on the sinking ship. If it sinks, I really want to sing goodbye people to CZ in Hokkaido. So they talk about that. They talk about all the things that are wrong in Binance, and they've got these transcripts, these messages. They've obviously got someone's messages, etc. And it looks quite damning when you read this evidence. But I guess we're gonna have to wait for CZ to appear in court to actually get what these are about. It's gonna be a very, very, very dirty fight. It's not gonna be an easy fight when it comes to Binance, and it's not gonna be an easy fight when it comes to Binance US. So what's happening in Binance US is actually starting to delist a whole lot of tokens. I don't know if you guys saw last night, but what you'll see is that Binance removed all these trading pairs. So they actually went and they removed all these trading pairs. Now, here's what I think is going to happen here. I think that Binance US is in big trouble. I don't know if Binance US can survive this, but I think that Binance US can be an amazing negotiation tool with the regulators. So why do I say a negotiation tool? Because what can happen is that they can go to the regulators, they can negotiate a settlement, and as part of the settlement, they can say, look, what we'll do is we'll just shut down Binance US and we won't come back to the US. And that, like, the regulators see that as, like, we're keeping the bad people out. It looks really, really, really good on our, in the headlines that Binance leaves US after the regulator attacks them, because then they can say, look, we achieved our objective. We got the bad blood out of our country. That's kind of what they can say. They did the same thing in Canada. So I don't know if you know this or if you remember this, but on the 10th of May, Canadian securities regulators served Binance an investigation order. Within 48 hours, Binance ceased all its operations in Canada and decided to leave the country instead of complying. And that's basically what they did. That is normal in these kind of settlements. At the same time, you have people now trying to exit Binance.us, which I think is a good strategy. I think that in the case that the Binance assets actually get frozen by the court, and specifically the Binance.us assets, what you see, people here are trying to withdraw their funds. And yesterday they were paying about a 7% premium on getting their money out of Binance US, or actually swapping their money into Bitcoin and then withdrawing their Bitcoin, because it was actually much faster than withdrawing the stuff onto your fiat on-ramps and off-ramps. So that's what's happening on the one side of the fight with CZ. It's becoming a very, very, very dirty fight. And CZ's lawyers responded. I don't know if they responded, but they also threw a punch, because it's like, fighting is no fun if the other side doesn't throw a punch. And so they did throw a punch yesterday. And this punch, I think, was very, very, very funny. It's about the thumbnail that you guys see over there. It says, hey, CZ, you want to meet for lunch? Sure, Gary, see you at 12. I know you think that that's clickbait, but it's actually not. Believe it or not, in Japan, CZ actually met with Gary Gensler in 2019. And there's a backstory here. The backstory was actually reported by CNBC, and it came out of a new filing from Binance's lawyers, where they say that Gary Gensler actually reached out to CZ in 2019 and offered and wanted to be an advisor. And amongst the things that he said is, he said, I know everything about the law and how to get around the law, and so to speak. At the time, he was actually working for MIT, and he was a blockchain lecturer at MIT. And you can see that it says here in the article, it says, he eventually, documents filed on Wednesday indicate that attorneys Gibson, Dunn, and Latham and Watkins, why do attorneys always have their names? Why can't they just call themselves like amazing attorneys, incredible attorneys? Why do they always have their names? It kills me. Something and Sons, or like every time an attorney gets appointed, they always put their names. Maybe we should call this place Run, Fred, Sheldon, Carl, James, Joe, Ferdy. I mean, we can do that. And then what we'll do is we'll do like and associates. Because then we can do like and associates. James, I'm freezing in here. Can we maybe like heat up the place? Put on 23 and let's just live our lives at 23 degrees. So what then happened was, he says he eventually met Zhao in Japan for lunch later that month. So CZ and Gary Gensler actually had lunch in in an environment where Gary Gensler actually wanted to be an advisor to Binance, and probably an advisor to Binance in the US to help them get into the US. Can you believe that? I mean, you know what that shows you? I'll tell you what that shows you. It shows you that Gary Gensler is an absolute fucking sellout. There goes our video on YouTube. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's an absolute fucking sellout. I'll explain to you why it's a sellout, right? I've said this a million times before, but let's just recap it and go over it again. Imagine that I asked you to lecture, to create a course and lecture a course at MIT. Could you do that if you weren't absolutely passionate about the subject? Absolutely not. It's impossible. Okay, MIT is the smartest minds in the world. Here's a guy who was so obsessed with blockchain that he actually taught a course before it was popular to teach courses on blockchain. We know he was a Bitcoin and blockchain fan, right? Then he gets appointed as chairman of the SEC. You can see that he liked blockchain and Bitcoin because he wanted to be Binance's advisor. But then he didn't get the job. He got another job. He got a job at the SEC. And then he all of a sudden went hostile on crypto. Now, let me tell you what that means. That means Gary Gensler sold out. It's like if you have a belief and then I hire you and I become your boss. And then I say to you, listen, my belief is very different from your belief. And because you work for me, because you want me to promote you in the company and give you another job, you now have to push my narrative, which is the opposite of your narrative. That is what's going on with Gary Gensler. He will be remembered as the biggest sellout in history, and this video will be taken down by YouTube because that's what YouTube do when we go up against the establishment. I'll tell you another person that's going up against the establishment. Brian Armstrong, the hero that we have fighting this battle, the most incredible hero that we possibly can. You know why? Because when Binance said, okay, we're going to delist all these securities, we're going to delist them, Coinbase said, no. We are not delisting these tokens. We are not changing our staking program. We are going to get this fight done. In fact, they came out yesterday. What did they say? They said, look, we're not shutting down our staking service. Forget about it. We're going to go to court. We're going to fight this thing in court until the end and until we get some kind of regulatory clarity. We're not going to delist the assets. Okay, we did that already. We delisted XRP back in the day. We did that already. And when you said XRP was a security, we lost all the trading revenue on XRP. Now you want us to delist all of these tokens over here? No. Let's go to court. And that's exactly what Coinbase are now doing. They're preparing to go to court. They're preparing to get the job done. We heard this interview with Brian Armstrong on Bloomberg. Man's serious. The man is on a mission.
Is there a point at which you call it quits on the United States, given how hard regulators are coming down on the industry?
No, we're not going anywhere. I mean, I started this company in the U.S. because not only is it a big market, there's rule of law here, right? You know, we have to follow the rule of law. So does the SEC and everybody. And so, luckily, if we're not getting a clear rule book from the SEC, we have the opportunity to avail ourselves of the court, and we'll start to get some case law created, regardless of what the outcome of the case is. Honestly, it's a step towards more clarity. The other big opportunity we have is really for Congress to step in here and act. And I think there's a lot of interest in Congress. We saw a bill come out last week from McHenry and Thompson, sort of clarifying, okay, this is the role of the CFTC and the SEC, and let's have some good consumer protections. And what about stable coins? And so I think there's a broad recognition within Congress that the U.S. is going to get left behind if they don't start to create some regulatory clarity, because the UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, the UAE, these are all saying, we want to be crypto and Web3 hubs. We have clear rule books. Come here and build your business. And the US is... That's
exactly what the video that we made yesterday said. That's exactly what it said. It said, we in Hong Kong, we want this. And I see Yuri is now also falling in love with Brian Armstrong. We're all now in love with Brian Armstrong because of what he's actually doing for us as the industry. He's going to fight the fight. And he said, look, we're not giving up. We're going to get this regulatory clarity on behalf of the industry. Whatever it takes, we're going into fight. He said, we're proud to represent the industry in court and finally to get some clarity around the crypto rules. And that's exactly what we believe. And I agree with Jim Bianco here. And Jim Bianco says, on this vacation, touching grass, the short answer is what's happening with crypto this week is bullish. And I agree with him. We're finally going to get regulatory clarity. And I have a feeling that Gary Gensler won't like what the court has to say. So he says, I don't think Gary Gensler will like what the court will have to say. And I agree with him. It's time to go get this regulatory clarity. I see that we have been sent another video here from Brian Armstrong's interview. Let's just see if it's the same one. See, my researchers are working while we are here live. Let's see what he had to say yesterday on CNBC.
What your reaction was, and to the extent that you have a defense, and I know you've taken to Twitter, but now you can take to the airwaves, what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we were disappointed to see this complaint from the SEC because I feel like we've had a long history of being very transparent with them and really every regulator around the world that we've worked with. So even going back to 2021 when we became a public company,
we heard this. I think we heard this yesterday. Anyway, so we now have the fight, the big fight. This is the real fight, the big fight between Coinbase and the SEC. As I said to you, there's two fights. First fight, Binance against the SEC, or the SEC against Binance and CZ. Dirty fight. That's a fight with baseball bats, with guns, with knives. That's a really dirty fight, and it's happening on the street, and they're going for CZ, and they're going for criminal in nature potentially. With Brian Armstrong, it's different. It's different. They're going to fight 4 charges in court, and they're going to get regulatory clarity. But I have a feeling that the SEC is actually playing dirty in this fight, and I want to show you how the SEC is actually playing dirty in this fight. I picked up this data point yesterday that showed me that the SEC is really, really, really playing dirty, and I'll explain to you why. Remember that the SEC has an unlimited budget because they're protecting investors and they're funded by the taxpayer. So they have an unlimited budget funded by the taxpayer to protect investors, and they are using that budget to fund their lawyers that are going to fight against Coinbase, right? That's what they're doing. At the same time, though, they know exactly how much money Coinbase has, right? Because remember, Coinbase is a listed company, and a listed company has to submit financials, right? And so where are we? We're at a point where the SEC know exactly how much money Coinbase are making and how much money they have, and they know how hard they need to drag them down the legal machine in order to get them to tap out and to submit, because they can't afford to carry on fighting this fight. It's dirty. A lot of people aren't seeing it. A lot of people think this is a clean fight, but it's not a clean fight. And this is what I wanted to show you. So here's the numbers. I did tweet about this last night, by the way. And the reason why I noticed this is if you look at Coinbase bonds, this is normal junk bonds. Junk bonds means debt that is low grade. This is where Coinbase's bonds are trading. So junk bonds are yielding 8%, but Coinbase bonds are yielding 14.3%. Why? Because the market is worried that Coinbase is going to run out of money defending themselves against the SEC. Why is that the case? Let's look at the numbers here. So today Coinbase have $5 billion in cash. Okay, here we go. Current assets, cash and cash equivalents, $5 billion. That's what they have on their balance sheet, okay? Problem is that Coinbase is losing money. If you look at the last quarter, last year they lost, or the 3 months ended, they lost, here we go, they lost $500 million. They lost $100 million in the first quarter of 2023. They're losing money. At the same time, the SEC are dragging them to try and squeeze them so that they waste a lot of their money and eventually they just cannot continue to operate. Okay, but that's not where the fight ends, because the SEC is actually much smarter. What else did the SEC do? Well, they cut the bank's supply of money to Coinbase. Remember, Coinbase used to bank with Silvergate Bank, right? And Silvergate Bank is now gone. So they cut the on-ramps and the off-ramps, which means that no new money can come into crypto. No new money can come into crypto. Less people can trade. Less people can trade means less fees. Less fees means you burning more money. You're burning more money, therefore you don't have as much money to defend your case. That's also not where it ends, because another tactic that the SEC use, if they go to Coinbase and they say, listen, in the case against Coinbase, we said that Cardano, Solana, Matic, ICP, Filecoin, Near, all of these are actually securities. If they say these are securities and they force Coinbase to delist these assets, Coinbase isn't making money from the trading of these assets. And if Coinbase isn't making money from the trading of these assets, they're cutting the oxygen supply even more. So this is the game that the SEC are playing. They're giving you the impression that they're fighting clean and that they are protecting investors. But they're not. The same money that they use to protect investors, which is great, they're protecting investors, I think they are protecting investors from financial freedom. That's what they're doing. They're protecting investors from financial freedom. That's what they're doing, okay? They know how much money Coinbase has at all times because it's part of the filings that Coinbase has to do as a public company. They take the filings, they look at the cash balance on the filing, they choke the banks so no new money can come into crypto. They delist the tokens that are generating a lot of revenue for Coinbase in terms of trading, or they try and force Coinbase to do that. At the same time, they try and force Coinbase to end their staking services, and they cut the amount of money that Brian Armstrong is actually making. And then they weaken him so that he actually can't carry on defending. That's the game, guys. You've seen it, you've heard it. Now when you watch the game live on TV, you'll know that I told you that this is the game that's being played and you can be cognizant of it. I don't know if you agree with me, but let me know in the comments if you think that I'm right about the agenda that the SEC's done here. So yeah, let me know. Also, let me know if this upsets you, because it's upsetting me tremendously. As you can see, today I'm fired up and I'm upset. Someone says Gary needs to be removed. He's gone in 17 months, but the fight, the egg cannot be unscrambled. The fight will continue. Anyway, let's move our attention to macro markets, because I think we forgot about macro markets because so much has been happening in crypto. We forgot about the fact that actually I came out on Monday and I told you guys on Monday that there was like 10 days until the biggest events in crypto, and they're actually really, really, really bullish events. Why? Because next week on the 13th, I believe it is, let's just make sure my dates are right because a lot of dates are in my head. On the 13th, we get the CPI numbers, okay? Then after that, on the 14th, we get the FOMC meeting. The CPI numbers, the previous reading on inflation was 4.9%, okay? The Cleveland Fed forecasts that the inflation numbers will be reduced to 4.13%. Now, let's just understand what that means. That means that in the last inflation numbers, the numbers went down by 0.1%. Now the inflation numbers are forecast to go down by 0.8%. It's a massive drop in inflation. And even better than that, when you look at their June forecasts, they think that inflation is going to go down by another 0.9%. And these guys are usually pretty accurate. They're usually pretty right. So what do we know? We know that inflation numbers are starting to come down. We also know that we had the jobs numbers. I don't know where the jobs numbers are, but I did have them somewhere. We had the jobs numbers, and the jobs numbers were actually much higher than expected. The jobless claim numbers were much higher than expected. What does this mean? It means the probabilities that the Fed is not going to increase interest rates. Haven't checked this, but I reckon 90%, 70%, 80%. Let's see, where is it? 70% that the Fed is not going to increase interest rates. So the market is now saying next week is the first time that the Fed ain't going to increase interest rates. But then, strangely, the market is saying in the next meeting, they will increase interest rates. So they'll pause now, but they'll increase interest rates later. So could be good news. We could be in a position where the Fed doesn't increase interest rates anymore. Okay, that's where it is. So that's what the situation is. Another thing which I'm also looking at is I'm looking at this Treasury news. And the reason why I'm looking at this Treasury news is they're going to give us guidance how they're going to get their expected cash balance to $425 billion by the end of June. I was scared that they would sell T-bills and take liquidity out of the market, but maybe that's not the case. And so that's what we're gonna look at. We're gonna follow this and let you guys know what's happening and how the liquidity is coming out the market. We've got to keep our eyes very, 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 very open to that. So that's what's happening on the macro front. By the way, if we get 1,500 likes, okay? I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to work it out here. I'm going to tell you a little secret about 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪. True story. But hold on. I just want to see if I can actually log into an account here. Hold on. I don't know if I can. That's the problem. I don't think it's under the bus. I mean, it's good. You think I have to do it, hey? You think he would have shared it? What are you talking about, Ferdy? Hold on, let me. I'm gonna give you guys. I'm gonna share something amazing with you guys. But I need to see if I can actually log in because I don't know if I can log in from this computer. Oh man, I don't know if I can log in from this computer. That's such a shame. Oh man, I can't log in from this computer. Okay, we'll try and make a plan to show you what I wanted to show you. Yesterday I said to you guys that one of the things that's going to come out of this move is that people are going to move from CEXs to DEXs, right? I said to you, people are going to move from centralized exchange trading to decentralized exchange trading. Seems that in the short term, I was very right. The top three, the trading volumes on the top three DEXs increased by 444% in the last 48 hours as people moved from centralized to decentralized exchanges. That is actually very good for our industry long term because we are here because we want to be in a decentralized world. And if we're all trading in a centralized exchanges in a decentralized world, we may as well be trading in the banks. So this is good. And then I told you that we ran an analysis of the best DEXs, okay? And I wanted to show you what we thought was the best DEX. Now, let me just give you guys a disclaimer before we go here. The one that works out best on all the metrics is a degen low cap play. But I'm going to show you the actual metrics, and then you guys can make the decision, right? So we looked at GMX, SNX, GNS, MAX, Unidex, Woo, all of these DEXs. One of them really came out on top, okay? It wasn't GNS, even though we love GNS. They are our sponsors and our partners. Actually, the one that came out on top was MAX. So MAX, if you look at all the analyses in terms of fully diluted value to total value locked, it's the winner. Fully diluted value to volume, it's the winner. Fully diluted value to volume this week, it's the winner. Full FDV to DAU, daily active users, it's the winner. You can see that on all the axes except one, it is the winner. So I'm not telling you to buy it. But I am saying to you, go and look at this. We'll put a link to the spreadsheet so that you can look at our analysis. And then you can tell us whether or not you think we are right in our analysis. And then maybe you can buy it or maybe you can't buy it. You decide. I know it's like me telling you to buy now when the markets are down. Are you crazy? How can you do that? You'll thank me later, kids. You'll thank me later. Let's look. What else is there? There's a lot happening. So the other one that is worth looking. You want to hear a crazy story? So I've been following this guy on Twitter. His name is Paddy the Pirate. Okay. I love his tweets. Guys, like he's amazing. The guy's got good tweets. I love his tweets so much that I actually even told my staff, get this guy onto our newsroom, onto our research group. Turns out this account actually belongs to someone sitting in our research group. I love his analysis. It's actually one of our researchers. I didn't even know that. Anyway, he also noticed that when you look at Stargate, he looked at the market shares that Stargate has relative to the industry on all bridges. And Stargate is extremely powerful when it comes to that. So again, if you're looking for value, people that are being used, bridges that are actually being used, apps that are actually being used, well, this is one of them. What else? Okay, a couple of good announcements for you. So, you know Miles, I'm not going to put him under the basher because I can't, because unless you can send me a YouTube link, anyone? Or somehow I can play it free. But, so Miles, I had a chat to Miles, and I said to Miles, listen, you're a smart young kid. One of the smartest guys that I've ever worked with. I think that you should pivot into how to use AI to invest in crypto and how AI can help us become more financially free. As a mission for Banter, my mission here is to build the most profitable community in the world. And if we can use AI and we can be the first people in AI to do that, then that's what we're going to do. And so what I asked Miles to do, I asked Miles to pivot into making AI investment videos only. Okay, so stop making market update videos and go into AI investment videos. Now, he doesn't know because he's uploaded a video. Okay, he uploaded a video which is only going to drop in how many hours, James? In a couple of hours. Okay, so what did I do? Because you know I can't keep a secret. I got his video, guys.
AI is currently taking the investment world by storm. It's estimated that investment into AI technology in 2023 will approximately triple to $97.9 billion, up from $37.5 billion in 2019. All this new capital has led to an astonishing increase in AI development. And with all these new products launching,
how good is this video?
that AI needs: GPU power. We live in a digital world. The entire backbone of our future economy relies on computing, and to facilitate that future, we need computing power. Now, there are traditional businesses like NVIDIA, for example, that are benefiting from this reality, and they recently became one of the world's $6 trillion companies off the back of strong results, coupled with very...
In a couple of hours, Miles drops this video about render, and it's the first in a series of AI-only videos that you're going to see Miles actually doing. It's going to be amazing. Okay, stay tuned for that. Go and look for that, because I think it's going to change him. I think it's going to change us as a channel. I think it's going to change you guys as investors, because we're going to talk about AI. Guys, is there a way for us to show what we need to show, or is there a way to do it? Yes. Is it? Send me a link, Ferdy. Okay, send us a link. I'm going to show you something very cool. But before I send you something very cool, okay, Miles is going to kill me. Okay, but listen to this. So this is a very serious announcement. If you live in the United States and you don't want to live in the United States anymore or if you're a US passport holder and you're sick and tired of paying US taxes, right? There is a solution. It is one of our sponsors. It's called Passports for Crypto, right? We have spoken about these guys before. Play the video for Passports for Crypto. So you can actually get a passport. It's saying Ks passport. It costs a couple of grand. You kind of invest in buying a property there, and then they give you a passport. But if you want out of the US, you want to tap out of the US system, if this is all upsetting you too much, I mean, I tapped out. I'm out of the US system. I had a green card. I was like, cheers, I don't want the green card. You can keep it. Keep the green card. I left. Yeah, Yuri, if you come live in Cape Town, we'll find a place for you. Okay, am I throwing Miles under the bus, or am I not throwing Miles under the bus?
Good music. Good music.
I mean, am I throwing Miles under the bus or not?
I think it's under the bus.
You're throwing away all the love I gave you, and maybe I'm not perfect when I raise you. You'll never understand.
This is Miles, guys. He calls himself Miles Casper, but this is Miles.
After all is said and done, you let me in a maze. I never can escape.
You'll never look at Miles the same way. I'll tell you that much. You'll never look at Miles the same way, but that is Miles, and he's bloody good. He's actually very, 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 very good. Okay, lastly, before we go, not lastly, but second lastly, we are looking to hire people. We're looking for lots of positions. We're expanding, we're growing, bear market, we don't really care. We are growing. So what I need from you guys, first of all, videographers. If you are a videographer and you live in Cape Town and you would like to follow Ran around the world and make videos of Ran all day long around the world, then I need you to apply. Videographers at cryptobanter.com. You must be in Cape Town for this specific position. Cool. Next position that we have that we really need is researchers. Full-time researchers. If you want to be part of our fast-growing research team, and if you're absolutely obsessed with crypto, and if you're on research groups every single day, and you want to be part of the team that helps us make this amazing content, and we've got a whole lot more plans, send us a document showing the type of research that you've done to research.recruits@cryptobanter.com. And then lastly, you know Banter Bubbles? You know this amazing app that we've now built, and inside each bubble, there is a chat, and people are degening into big tokens. Well, we need someone to help us continue building Banter Bubbles. We want to build this and add news feeds to it, and there's a whole lot of other stuff we want to do it. For that, if you are a developer and you do know React and you got JavaScript, devs@cryptobanter.com. I think it's devs. Is it devs or developers? Well, I think it's devs@cryptobanter.com. Devs@cryptobanter.com. Guys, we need to hire. We are expanding. We are blowing up. We need your help to help us hire. I am now jumping on another Twitter Spaces. I know that some of you were there yesterday. You are going to click the referral link below for KuCoin, and you're going to take a trade, and then you may be able to win $1,500. And when you do take that trade well, my friends.